Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. All right, and I know this is gonna be my second video talking about an NBA related topic. Right, this is gonna be my second video, and I know I called it Let's Talk, and I'm talking about a lot of basketball related things. But the thing is, with the NBA, I have a lot of things I'd like to say about the NBA specifically, right? And that's why I'm making a lot of Let's Talk videos about the NBA. I will make Let's Talk videos on other subjects, no doubt. But the NBA, I love basketball. I'm a huge basketball fan. The NBA is something that's close to my heart. So that's why I want to talk about the NBA a lot, right? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the NBA rules, right? And how we were told that the rules would change, but they haven't changed, right? Like we haven't got them to change, and I want the rules to change because I am enjoying the NBA right now, no doubt, because it's the playoffs and everything, right? But I've seen that the foul calls aren't being called very well, and I'd like to talk about that. At the beginning of the season, Adam Silver said that he was going to crack down on the foul calls, or the NBA in general said that they were going to crack down on the foul calls being made, that they just wanted less of these bad foul calls. They wanted these moves that were non-basketball moves to be eliminated, and that's what they wanted to do, basically, right? But I'm seeing now in the NBA that is simply not the case. People are still flopping, and they're still getting those calls. Now, granted, at the beginning of the season, they weren't getting these foul calls, right? They actually were looking like they were going to crack down on it. And I was really enjoying that. I like that. I was like, okay, they're cracking down. Okay, you see a lot of plays where Steph Curry would jump into somebody, and they weren't calling that anymore. And I was like, wow, that's great. Great. They're not making those type of foul calls anymore. However, there was a shift at a certain point. And this shift, I don't know when it happened exactly, but all of a sudden, this season was looking like previous seasons, where there's a lot of foul calls that weren't real foul calls, or phantom calls, as I like to call them, right? That players would do all the flail their arms and get foul calls, right? And I really don't like it. Because it removes the flow of the game. We keep stopping the game constantly over and over and over again. I find myself, while I'm watching NBA games, looking at my phone a lot instead of just fully being focused on the game, because I'm watching the screen, right? I see one play, next play somebody gets fouled, and then I just look at it and I'm just like, you know what? I don't even really have to watch this game. I don't really have to pay attention, because as soon as I look at the screen, somebody's getting a foul call, somebody's getting free throws, right? And the game has been stopped, right? And that's not to say that I don't enjoy the NBA, right? I'm going to reiterate it again. I do enjoy the NBA. I do enjoy the way the NBA is being played today. But I don't enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed previous seasons, right? Because of the way the foul calls are being done, right? A lot of people say that these people who are flopping, they're just really good at it, right? And we should call it based on the fact that, these guys are really good at getting at selling it, so they should get their foul calls, right? They earned it, everything like that. But I completely disagree. I think most of the time when you see somebody flop on TV, it's an obvious flop, right? The person wasn't actually fouled, okay? And people are talking about, oh no, they're selling it. Most of the time when they're selling it, they're not selling a foul after it had already occurred. They're creating a foul in a situation where there was no foul. Like, for instance, if somebody puts their hand out and you raise your hand, right? That isn't a foul, okay? But people act like it is for some reason. and I don't like that. People are making excuses for these types of things happening, right? But I just don't feel like it needs to be there. I don't feel like we need to reward players who flop, okay? Because if you keep flopping and getting these foul calls, it just ruins the flow of the game. You don't have that back and forth action going, right? Like you see a lot of the legendary games in the past, we're just going back, forth, because the refs just didn't care about people flopping, and people would only get foul calls when they were actually fouled, right? And I've seen this happen in soccer, right? In the past, a lot of the rules were ambiguous in soccer, and a lot of fans didn't like it, right? So FIFA then clamped down on the foul calls, in order to ensure that people weren't flopping like this anymore, right? And it actually did help. Like, a lot of people were watching it again because it didn't ruin the flow of the game, right? People weren't flopping, people weren't getting as many foul calls anymore. And in fact, there were penalties for flopping, like you would get red cards and all that. And I feel like that's what needs to happen in the NBA. People need to get consequences for flopping, right? And I also feel that the consequences for bad foul calls and everything, it should not just be for the players, right? It should also go for the people involved, which are the referees. I feel like if the referee makes a bad call, an obvious bad call, because I'm not just going to say a bad call, because then, they could make a bad call, could be a mistake, right? But if it's an obvious one, like somebody clearly flopped, they were barely touched, and the ref made that type of foul call, I feel like the ref should be fined for that. And if they do it again, then they should be suspended, right? I feel like that should be the case for, the players. Obviously, I said they should get a technical foul for, some serious flopping if they do something like that. And if they do it again, ejected, right? So those are just some of my thoughts on what the NBA should do about flopping and everything. It really ruins the game if you have too many people flopping and just getting foul calls, because then it feels like the people don't even have to work as hard to score, right? They can just get a foul call, and then, they can just get their 2 points, right? And it also ruins the flow of the game. It slows down the game heavily, right? And there's a lot of games that there's like a minute left, and then it takes forever for the game to actually finish because people keep getting fouled. The refs take forever to check the monitor. Yes, and that was something else I was going to say as well, is that if the ref should have a time limit on how long they can check the monitor, right? If they check the monitor for too long, they get fined as well. That's what I think that should happen. And if they spend too much time there, they should just go with the original call that they were going to have, right? So I just think there needs to be consequences for people flopping and for the refs calling it and everything. I just don't think that the NBA should, the way the NBA is right now, is really not good enough. They need to make some changes and make it better, make it how it used to be when the ratings were higher and everything like that, right? So those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Put your thoughts in the comment section, whether you agree or disagree. And, like and subscribe if you like this video. And thank you.